the cameras flashed, the crowd totally froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a brand new obsession. Jennifer Lopez hints she is happier without Ben Affleck.
Oh, it is everywhere right now.
It really is. Welcome to StarScope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today, we're looking at the anatomy of the decade's messiest, most heavily scrutinized uncoupling.
Yeah, we are specifically focusing on J.Lo's recently declared happy era. The big mission of this deep dive is to look past those sensational tabloid headlines, How does a global icon actually reclaim her narrative and her identity after a wildly public split?
Right, and to figure that out, we are synthesizing a huge stack of entertainment sources today. We've got reports from People Magazine, Us Weekly, TMZ, OK Magazine, WION, Geo News, and a bunch of pop culture commentary channels.
Exactly. So whether you are a pop culture junkie or just someone fascinated by human psychology and reinvention, there is a universal lesson here about navigating the fallout of a failed dream.
Yeah, hitting that reset button on life.
So let's just start with the timeline, because the contrast between the Bennifer 2.0 fairy tale and the private reality is, well, it's stark.
Oh, completely. If you look at the official divorce filings, the date of separation is listed as April 26, 2024.
Right.
But she didn't actually file for divorce until August 20, 2024.
Right.
Citing irreconcilable differences.
That 4-month gap is so crucial, especially when you factor in the absolute wildest detail of this entire split.
Lack of a prenup.
Yes, they had no prenuptial agreement, which, that feels completely counterintuitive, right?
It really does.
We are talking about two individuals with astronomical levels of wealth, complex business entanglements. Why on earth would two entertainment veterans skip something so standard?
Well, I think it speaks to that intense, almost defensive romanticism they had going on.
Oh, like proving a point to the world.
Exactly. When you're trying to prove to everyone, and to yourselves really, that this rekindled romance is just destiny, signing a prenup can feel like betting against your own fairy tale.
Yeah, that makes sense emotionally.
Right. But the practical reality is severe. Because they live in California. And without a prenuptial agreement, any assets accrued during their 2-year marriage are community property.
Meaning a 50-50 split?
Basically, yeah. Every movie they starred in, every brand deal, every production company profit generated in that specific window, theoretically, it's all subject to being divided equally.
Wow. Untangling that requires, forensic accounting.
Oh, absolutely.
It turns a painful emotional separation into the equivalent of unwinding a massive corporate merger. But, while both CEOs are actively grieving.
That is a perfect way to put it. You essentially have to sit in boardroom negotiations with the person who just broke your heart.
Sounds like an actual nightmare.
It is. And to understand why the marriage hit that wall in the first place, multiple insiders pointed to a fundamental personality clash.
Yeah, I read the reports from People Magazine and WION. They describe J.Lo as highly social in public, someone who genuinely draws energy from the spotlight.
And Ben is described as a strict introvert.
But it's not just a simple introvert-extrovert mismatch, is it?
No, not at all. The phrasing used in sources like Celebrity and WION is incredibly blunt. They specifically highlight his mood swings.
Right, they describe big highs and big lows.
Yeah, and label his demeanor as dark and moody. There's this one quote from a source that is just, it's so revealing about the danger of nostalgia.
Oh, what did they say?
They said, who he said he was and who he turned out to be were two different people.
Ouch.
That happens so often when people fall in love with a memory. They were projecting an idealized 20-year-old version of each other onto their current reality.
And the practical result of that dynamic just sounds exhausting. One insider told WION that J.Lo spent a massive amount of energy trying to manage his disposition.
Yeah, caring for him in an almost childlike way.
Exactly. Trying to curate his environment so he would be happy. It's like she was functioning as a human shock absorber for the relationship.
Shock absorber, yeah.
Because if you are constantly driving over someone else's emotional potholes and you're throwing yourself into the mechanism to keep the ride smooth for both of you, eventually your own suspension just snaps.
You can only absorb so much heavy impact before the structural damage transfers directly to you.
Right.
And the psychological toll of that specific caretaker role is immense. Your entire emotional climate becomes dictated by your partner's internal weather.
If a dark cloud rolls in for them, it's raining in the house for everyone.
Exactly. And realizing that you cannot fundamentally fix another person's emotional baseline, that is usually the breaking point.
Okay. But I do have to push back on this narrative just a little bit.
Go for it.
Because we have to remember that this whole framing, the tireless, devoted wife thwarted by the dark, brooding husband, that came heavily from that major People magazine cover story, the one that dropped right after the divorce filing.
The PR machine at work.
Exactly. That is almost entirely J.Lo's narrative. Isn't there a danger in the public totally adopting one side of a heavily PR-managed breakup?
Well, sure, but we have to look at what crisis PR actually means for a megastar of her level.
Okay, fair.
In a high-stakes divorce, especially without a prenup, public perception is a tangible, monetizable asset.
Right, it affects her bottom line.
Her entire brand relies on resilience, work ethic, and being this hopeless romantic. For her team, establishing the narrative that she tried absolutely everything but was just defeated by an unmanageable situation, it's not just spin.
It's survival.
Exactly. It's a necessary tactic to protect her brand equity. She is mitigating the fallout before it can stick to her.
If you are loving these Hollywood twists and the strategy behind them, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead. Because her next move, following that PR push, is what makes this so fascinating to me.
Oh, you mean the tour?
Yeah. If her team is working in overdrive to protect her brand, you'd expect her to capitalize on the public sympathy rate. Jennifer Lopez is a notorious workaholic.
The ultimate hustler.
The standard playbook would be to launch a new project, book a huge interview, and just keep moving. But in May 2024, right after that secret April separation, she hit the brakes. She completely canceled her 2024 This Is Me live tour.
And the mechanics of canceling a tour of that magnitude, you just can't understate it.
It's massive.
You are unwinding millions of dollars in logistics, you're displacing hundreds of crew members, and you are forcing yourself to absorb a very public narrative of failure.
But she addressed this, right, in her Good Morning America interview.
She did. She said, I had to stop everything, and I took a year off. She realized she needed to sit in the reality of what happened rather than running away from it through work or another relationship.
Which fundamentally rejects our culture's expectation of how to handle a breakup.
Oh, totally.
We are conditioned to expect the revenge era. You hit the gym, you throw yourself into your career, you stay impossibly busy so the silence doesn't catch up with you.
And that is exactly why her choice was so radical. For a workaholic, constant motion is the armor. Stripping that away to face the void requires immense psychological discipline.
Yeah, avoiding pain is just the default human instinct.
Right, so by choosing to halt the machinery of her career and sit in the quiet, she was doing the hardest work possible. She even admitted that being alone used to terrify her.
Well, the quiet period didn't last forever, and that's not even the wildest part because the reemergence happened and it was incredibly loud.
The happy era.
Yes. Let's talk about the strategy of this rebrand. She hosts the 2025 AMAs, joking on stage with Tiffany Haddish about actively not wanting a man to ruin her peace.
The crowd went crazy for that.
Totally viral. And then we get the Labor Day weekend paparazzi photos reported by TMZ. She's eating ice cream, looking absolutely flawless, and wearing a statement t-shirt.
Oh, this shirt.
The shirt, it literally reads in bold letters, she's in bloom and unbothered, out of reach, and at peace.
And you have to look at the social media strategy alongside that. Right. For her 57th birthday, she posted this highly produced video of herself in a car.
I saw that.
It was set to Theodore Roosevelt's famous Man in the Arena speech,
Right.
which is all about persevering through failure and criticism.
Yeah.
And she captioned it, when you keep going, it just keeps getting better.
Okay, see, this is where the narrative starts to fracture for me.
How so?
Well, she claims she's finding peace in the silence, doing this deep, quiet work of healing. Yet, she is literally wearing a billboard on her chest for the paparazzi.
That's true.
She is bypassing a press release by using a t-shirt to broadcast her mental state to the globe. Is this true freedom and healing, or just a carefully curated performance of freedom? I mean, it feels less like she's unbothered and more like she's desperately trying to convince us she's unbothered.
Well, it is a performance, absolutely. But is there a functional difference between a performance and a survival tactic for a billionaire pop star?
That's a good question.
For someone whose entire existence is debated and monetized by millions of strangers, taking control of the visual narrative is how you construct boundaries.
Right.
It's a concept in crisis management called image scaffolding.
Image scaffolding.
Yeah, the performance of happiness is the scaffolding you erect on the outside of the building. It protects the structure while The actual internal happiness is still slowly being rebuilt on the inside.
Oh, I love that analogy. So the billboard t-shirt is the scaffolding. It gives the public something to look at so they don't see the mess in the lobby.
Precisely. Because if she remains totally silent, the tabloids just write the story for her.
Good point.
By projecting this hyper-curated, quote, heavy, unbothered era, she establishes the rules of engagement. In private, she might be sitting with the grief, but the moment she steps outside, she has to armor up.
And right now, her chosen armor is the aesthetic of a thriving, independent woman. But wait until you hear what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because the problem with that aesthetic is that you can declare a happy era all you want, but the physical and logistical anchors of a marriage don't just vanish because you bought a cool shirt.
No, they definitely do not.
Moving on conceptually is entirely different from the mechanical reality of untangling two massive lives.
Yeah, the lingering ties are where the PR strategy hits a wall of human reality.
So let's start with the literal marks they left on each other. Geo News reported that while she was in Sicily, fans noticed she had updated her infinity rib tattoo.
The one she got to symbolize her commitment to Ben.
Right. His name appears to have been altered or removed. And sure, you can laser off a tattoo, but you cannot laser off a blended family.
And this is where the story shifts from a celebrity spectacle to a very grounded human dilemma. Because during their marriage, their children formed genuine, deep attachments.
We are talking about J.Lo's twins, Max and Em, and Ben's child, Finn.
Yes. And the sources specifically note that even after the separation, these kids have maintained their bond. They are still having sleepovers, going to concerts together.
A source told the Daily Mail that usually exes get to just say goodbye and walk in opposite directions. But the children keep J.Lo and Ben connected.
It forces them to interact.
Right. The source claimed J.Lo actively deals with the friction of seeing Ben because she refuses to sever those sibling-like bonds.
I mean, just imagine the cognitive dissonance required to navigate that.
Seriously.
You are utilizing every PR tool at your disposal to distance your brand from this man while simultaneously coordinating weekend drop-offs with him.
Every logistical text message is a reminder of the failed marriage.
Exactly. And what makes this even more complex is the broader life transition she's experiencing at this exact moment. She isn't just navigating a divorce.
Right.
She is actively staring down empty nest syndrome.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our deep dives into the psychology behind these Hollywood moments, because the timeline on this empty nest situation is brutal.
It really is.
Her twins just turned 18. According to the News International, they are heading off to college in August 2026.
And she has spoken very candidly about how heavily this is impacting her. She described this massive emotional wave that hit her while writing their end-of-year letters for high school graduation.
It's huge. Her entire daily ecosystem is about to empty out.
Yeah, it's a staggering amount of identity shift to process simultaneously.
She's losing her partner, untangling her finances, and at the exact same time, the daily hands-on role of motherhood, which has defined the last 18 years of her life, is fundamentally evaporating.
She is shifting from being a wife and a full-time, under-the-same-roof mother to being a single empty nester in a matter of months.
Wow.
So when you contextualize her happy era through the lens of that impending empty nest, halting her tour to take a year off makes total sense.
It really does.
It isn't just about recovering from a breakup. It is about absolute psychological survival. She has to figure out who she actually is when the house goes quiet.
And speaking of the house going quiet, we have to return to that massive physical anchor, the Beverly Hills luxury estate.
Oh, the house.
They purchased it together for roughly $20 million. Ben has already moved out. He secured his own multi-million-dollar bachelor pad.
Right.
But according to real estate sources, the shared mansion is just sitting there, unsold, despite multiple price cuts.
Having a mega mansion sitting on the market during a divorce with no prenup is a logistical nightmare.
I can't even imagine.
It forces ongoing communication. Every price reduction, staging decision, offer, it all requires joint approval from two people who are legally trying to separate.
It is the ultimate physical manifestation of being stuck. How does anyone, celebrity or not truly, forge a brand new, fiercely independent identity when they are still legally and financially chained to their ex through real estate?
It's incredibly difficult.
You are desperately trying to sail your ship into this new happy era, but this $20 million anchor is dragging across the ocean floor, pulling you backward.
It requires extreme compartmentalization. You have to maintain this ruthless, business-like boundary when dealing with the asset and the co-parenting logistics while fiercely guarding your internal emotional state.
Right.
Which is exactly why her fixation on that Roosevelt man in the arena speech is so appropriate. She really is in the arena, battling the heavy, unglamorous logistics of her past while trying to build her future.
So let's pull all of this together. We've traced a massive arc today. We started behind closed doors, watching a fairy tale romance fracture under a fundamental personality clash.
We examined J.Lo functioning as an emotional shock absorber until the system just failed.
Then we analyzed a radical behavioral pivot. Instead of her usual armor of workaholism, she unwound a massive tour to force herself to sit with the grief.
Bypassing the standard celebrity playbook.
Right. And finally, we arrive at the complex reality of the happy era. We see how the performance of being unbothered, the statement shirts, the AMA jokes operates as image scaffolding, protecting her public brand while she navigates the deeply private mess of co-parenting, selling a mega mansion, and facing an empty nest.
The overarching takeaway from these sources is that healing is never clean, and it's never linear. It forces us to hold contradictions.
You can be deeply grieving the loss of your daily role as a mother while simultaneously utilizing paparazzi to project total invulnerability.
Exactly. And that brings us to the universal application for you, listening right now. We all inevitably face moments where a massive investment of our time, our identity, and our love just collapses.
Whether it's a marriage, a career, or a vision for your future.
The instinct is always to run. Sazy, quickly build the next thing. But J.Lo's decision to halt the machinery of her life and just sit in what had happened is a powerful reminder.
Sometimes the most productive thing you can do when your world falls apart is to stop moving entirely.
Refusing to distract yourself from your own reality is a profound act of courage. Which leads me to a final thought for you to take away today. Think back to that Theodore Roosevelt man in the arena quote.
Historically, we apply that quote to external battles. We think of the arena as the public stage facing down critics, battling haters, fighting forces trying to tear us down.
We picture the gladiators surrounded by a roaring crowd.
But what if, in the aftermath of a massive life upheaval, the true arena isn't external at all? What if the most terrifying high-stakes arena to stand in isn't a stage in front of millions of people, but simply a quiet, empty house?
Because when the noise of the relationship finally fades,
and the kids pack up their boxes for college and the grand scaffolding of your public life is stripped away, the only opponent left to face in that empty arena is yourself. We'll let you mull that over. You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.